Enjoy. Question of the day. At school, did you prefer math or English? Not sure if it's called English in America, but I mean like writing and shit. I left work an hour later than I expected. I had way more left to get done, but I also wanted to see my family before it got ridiculously late into the evening. By the time I pulled up outside the familiar building, it was nearing 8 p.m. Since I was with Costantino's security team, our arrival was announced to my family so that I'd be allowed entry. I guess surprising my family with my arrival wasn't a luxury I had in this life. The security guards opened the gates and we drove inside. As soon as I got out of the SUV, my mother came running out the front door. "Mama," I smiled, wrapping her in a tight hug. She returned it, her motherly embrace offering me the comfort I'd missed for the last 3 months. It was the longest I'd ever been away from my family, and I only realized just how much I missed her when I was finally in her arms. After a tearful greeting, we headed inside. No one else was home yet, so I spent time catching up with my mother alone. She asked about my life in Sicily, about Costa, about work, and about the Accardi family. I was pretty vague with all of my answers, but only because I wasn't sure how to balance this new dynamic. My loyalty, whether I liked it or not, was now with the Accardi family. I couldn't talk shit about them, and I would never do it where someone in the Greek Mafia might hear. We ended up having dinner alone together, too. It was nice, but I also wanted to have a family dinner like old times. I expected my father and brother to be home by that time, but they didn't arrive. I did end up seeing them though, but only when I was on my way out. I hung around for as long as possible, but I was also conscious I had work in the morning. I also had husband who would probably send out a search party if I didn't get home before 11 p.m. I was wrapping up my conversation with my mother when the sound of the front door slamming open caught our attention. Andrea. My father's irate voice had us both freezing. "In here." She spoke a little louder than before, flashing me a wobbly smile. The moment my father rounded the corner into the living room, his urgency morphed into relief and annoyance. "Millie, our guards told me you were here, so I was the reason for his sudden appearance." "Hi, Dad." I forced a small smile onto my face as he came further into the room. "You're not supposed to come here anymore without prior notice." He's talking like he owns the place. Well, he does, but that's not the point. "I came to visit my family. What's so wrong with that?" I frowned. "You're not part of this family." He all but spat the words out, his annoyed expression deepening. "You don't get to show up as you please." "I'm not part of this family. I'm your daughter." I stood up from my place on the couch, glaring daggers at him. "You can't just erase me from the family picture after you used me to worm your way in with the 'don't forget who you're speaking to.'" He cut me off, stepping closer to me again. He was still a safe distance away, but the action was definitely meant to intimidate me. "I'm speaking to my father, the man who once promised me he'd never let anyone force me into something I didn't want to do." "You had a duty and you fulfilled it. You're no longer our responsibility." He included my mother in that with the way he glanced over at her. I wouldn't be surprised if he gave her shit for letting me have dinner here with her tonight. "I'm not your responsibility. You haven't even asked me how I am. You have no idea what my life has been like while I've been in Sicily. What if I was being mistreated or abused? Would you care then?" He didn't even flinch at the suggestion that the Accardi family might be harming me. In fact, he seemed more angry that I was suggesting he should care. But the sound of quick footsteps approaching prevented him from responding to me. "Millie," Julius rounded the corner, coming to a slow stop when he saw me. "Hi." I smiled, excitement quickly replacing the anger I had towards my father. Julius closed the gap between us, wrapping me up tight in his arms. My brother exhaled a breath of relief, tightening his grip on me. Are you okay, Millie? He hasn't hurt you, has he? I swear, if he's laid a single hand on you, I'll hunt that son of a bitch down and I'm fine, Julius. I laughed, tightening my arms around his waist. I buried my face in his chest, savoring his unique scent I'd missed so much. Are you sure? He asked, pulling away from me. He held my hands, stepping back a little to take me in. I'm sure I'm fine. He hasn't hurt me. Well, I don't trust him or his family. It's been 3 fucking months since we saw you. He kept you away from us for that long. He didn't, well, not really. He hasn't come back to New York since our wedding either. He told you that? Julius rose an eyebrow at me. Not exactly. He said he'd bring me whenever he came back, and he didn't tell me, so I assumed. This is the 4th time he's come to New York, Millie. Costantino basically lives here. I can't explain why my heart dropped at that new piece of information. The 4th time, he came here 4 times without me. I I was lost for words for the 2nd time that day, both instances to do with Costantino. The first was when he remembered my coffee order, and the second was finding out he'd been coming here all along. He really left me in Sicily to come here. I swiftly changed the subject, having recovered from the momentary disappointment. I knew they all picked up on it, but thankfully it wasn't used against me. Where's Damien? I asked, searching the doorway behind my brother. The two of them were inseparable after all. Where one goes, the other follows. He's not here. He's in Miami. He'll be back in the morning, though. Julius gave me a sad smile, squeezing my hand. He really misses you, Mildred. We both do. I never thought the name Mildred could make me smile the way I did. For my entire life, I hated the way they'd make fun of my name, but now I loved it. I've missed you too, I smiled, pulling him in for another hug. I'll come and see you both tomorrow. Julius nodded as I stepped away, turning to pick up my coat and purse. You're not to come to this house uninvited again, Millicent. Dad, Julius cut in, sending our father a glare. Just leave it. She's been gone for it's fine. I interrupted, placing a hand on Julius's arm. Don't worry about it. We'll meet somewhere else. I didn't want to give Julius unnecessary hassle with my father. It's not like I would be here permanently. I was only visiting. I'll see you tomorrow. I shared one last hug with my mother and Julius before leaving, passing my aggravated father on my way out. So at least I know where I stand now, even if it's exactly how I expected it to be. And LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT. Then GT and GT and GT and GT and GT and GT and GT. And LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT. The elevator doors pinged open, allowing the sound of Costa's loud, irate voice to meet my ears. He was sitting on the couch in the open plan area, screaming down the phone. He didn't seem to notice my arrival at first. It was only when I began approaching him that he turned to face me. He was still speaking when his green eyes locked onto my brown ones. I headed past him and into the kitchen, which had thankfully been restocked. I could still feel his eyes on me as I dug through the cupboards to grab a bottle of whiskey and a pair of glasses. I poured myself and Costa a glass, handing it to him in the center of the open plan area. He took it with furrowed brows, downing the amber liquid in one go while I sipped on mine like a civilized human being. I waited another few minutes for him to finish his call before he finally gave me all his attention. I'm only going to ask you once. I cut him off, putting my empty glass down on the coffee table near us. His expression was one of confusion, although I could already see him putting his walls up. The thing about mafioso was that they were always prepared, nothing ever really caught them off guard. Sure, he might have been confused by my behavior, but he would never be caught off guard. He'd never slip up and say something he shouldn't. His confusion easily morphed into a poker face as I stepped in closer, my voice dropping low. How many times have you come to New York since we got married? He took a split second to process the question before answering with ease. This is the first time. You're lying. My response was instinctive. It slipped out before I could stop it. Why would I lie? He scoffed. What the hell is this even about, Millie? 4 times. You came here 4 times while you left me alone in Sicily, in an unfamiliar place surrounded by your family who hate me while my company was falling apart. Like an idiot, I just assumed you'd bring me with you like you said you would. But of course you didn't. You came here and you let me forget all about my previous life and my company and my family and, Millie, stop. Costa grabbed my hands, pulling me in closer to him. Just take a breath. No. Don't tell me what to do. I glared at him, attempting to pull my hands out of his grips. All he had to do was stand firm, waiting for me to stop trying because he knew my attempts were futile. I quickly gave up, releasing a breath of exhaustion. It was only then that I became aware of how fast my heart was beating. I could feel his intense gaze on me as I closed my eyes, resting my forehead on his firm chest. What happened? His voice was a lot softer than I expected, although I could tell he was mildly irritated by my outburst. Or he was waiting to confirm that I hadn't truly lost my mind, and then he was going to give me shit for shouting at him like a mad woman. I can't do this anymore, Costa. Do what? Everything. My hatred for those 3 deadly letters only grew when my eyes involuntarily welled with tears. PMS is the reason I was showing him my vulnerability for the second time in 48 hours. I couldn't control it, much like the nightmare, and I hated that. I hated not being able to close up and keep my emotions under control. But that's the difference between men and women, and I guess why women are so lowly regarded in the criminal underworld. We're not designed to be ruthless, cold-hearted criminals. It's often that our emotions control us, but that's how we're designed. It's normal. But it's easy to forget that showing some emotion is normal when you've only been taught that it's a sign of weakness. I was about to pull away from him, but I was stopped by his warm hand on the back of my head. His fingers threaded into my hair, and he silently held my head to his chest. We stayed like that for a short while. I breathed in the thick, woody scent of his cologne, allowing it to calm me down. My heart rate began to slow, although my tears didn't slow down as fast. By the time Costa loosened his hold on me, he had a damp patch and mascara stains on his white shirt. Sorry, I cringed at the stain knowing his shirts weren't cheap. I'll clean it for relax, Millie, it's not a big deal. He murmured, eyeing me with caution. He probably thought I was a ticking time bomb. I'm sure I looked like one too. You want to go to sleep? You look tired. Most likely I looked like a panda with my running makeup, but he was just trying to be polite. I gave him a silent nod and we made our way upstairs in an uncomfortable silence that was filled with my sniffles. We're sleeping in my bed, he murmured, roughly nudging me towards his room when I took a step in the opposite direction. I turned to glare at him for shoving me, but he smiled innocently back. I know, but my things they've been moved, come on. I can confirm they had been moved. There was only one closet in his bedroom, but it was a lot bigger than the individual ones we had in Sicily. There was space for both of us to fit our things in comfortably. You didn't have to do that. I already felt like a nuisance after breaking down in front of him twice, and now he's done this for me too. Acosta didn't reply to me, which only confirmed he didn't actually want to do it. I'm really ruining this guy's life. Once upon a time, he was a rich bachelor living the high life in his penthouse. Now he's got his unpredictable and annoying wife moving into his bedroom because she suddenly can't sleep alone after being threatened by a Russian psycho. So while later we were both in his much comfier bed in an uncomfortable silence, I thought he was exaggerating when he said his mattress is worth more than me. But now I don't think he was lying. It's like a freaking marshmallow. Rocco and Tristano have come to New York a couple of times. The twins came once with them too, I think, or maybe twice. When he suddenly spoke, I turned my head to look at him, noticing the soft frown on his face. Who told you I came back? I was hesitant to answer him, but only because I didn't want more tension between us. His dislike for my family could become a problem at some point. Julius. His jaw clenched and that little muscle in his cheek popped, which is so fucking sexy, not that I'd ever tell him. Angry men, there's something about them. Do I have a red flag because I think angry men are sexy? Surely that's a thing with other women too, right? Well, I haven't been back, so I don't know where he got that information from. He probably just assumed you were with your brothers. I sighed, turning to face the ceiling again. As only a few seconds passed before Costa asked the question I'd been expecting ever since I lost control. Why were you crying earlier? Even though I took my time to answer, I could still feel his eyes on me. He knew I wasn't ignoring him, I was just thinking. I don't know. Millie, that was his don't bullshit me right now tone. I mean it. I turned my head to look at him again. I was overwhelmed by a lot of things and it all just came out. This annoying bitch didn't bother responding. He just continued to stare at me until I voluntarily gave him the information he wanted. Geez, you're such a mafia man. I rolled my eyes, noticing his lips twitch at my comment. Things with my family aren't great. That's putting it nicely, really fucking nicely. My father doesn't want anything to do with me anymore. He thinks I've fulfilled my duty and I'm no longer his responsibility. Costa didn't respond, but I could see him watching me from the corner of my eye, and work is all falling apart. My voice lowered to almost a whisper as I finally admitted the truth out loud. I don't think I can keep my company. Why? With his raspy voice, he sounded surprisingly concerned. I'm losing control by being away. So all day I was being told by department heads that my time is basically running out. If I don't get a grip of things, it will slip away. But you're always working. All you're ever doing is working even when I tell you to stop. It's true, Costa has told me a few times to stop reading so much. He often comes in late at night and I'll be in bed reading a manuscript or going through emails. As a side note, I haven't told him yet that I need to see an optician in Sicily to make the lenses in my glasses a little stronger. I think he'll get annoyed with me if I do. It's not enough, Costa. Working in another country isn't enough. You know that you're always flying around to see someone or do something. A few times in the past, Costa has gotten a strange look in his eye when I say something to him. It's often when I call him out on his personality or something, but this time I finally asked him why. What? He repeated the question back to me. I hate it when people do that. Don't answer a question with a question. Why did you make that face? What face? Suddenly that look morphed into amusement instead. Costa. I narrowed my eyes at him and he released a breathy laugh, nodding his head. Fine, it annoys me when you understand shit about me. That's what that look is for. What? You don't like it when I? No, why would I? It's like you said this morning, that's not how our relationship is supposed to work. But then you randomly say shit that makes it seem like you get me. You're not supposed to. It's probably because we both grew up in the Mafia. I understand what men in this life are like. I shrugged, enjoying the way his eyes lit up with annoyance. So just keep it to your fucking self then. Okay, I laughed, turning on my side to face him properly. But when I tell you to stop being nice to me, then don't make fun of me. Fine, I won't be nice to you anymore. Good. I nodded, allowing a tired smile to slip onto my face. Acosta was looking at the ceiling for a moment before he turned to me again. So, what are you going to do about your company? I don't know. There's not much I can do from Sicily. There was only one suggestion I could think of, but it wasn't something he'd easily give in to. Actually, I think he'd outright reject the idea immediately. But I'm a boss bitch, so I'll say it anyway. Can I move back to New York? My question lingered in the thick air between us. I kept my eyes on him, but his gaze was fixed to the ceiling. Other than the fact he was slow to answer and he didn't look at me, he didn't give anything away. The seconds ticked by painfully until he finally released a sigh, running a hand over his face. If this bitch says no, I swear I'll kick his ass into next year. Millie, I don't think you understand how much shit I'll get if I say yes. Is shit from who? Your father? I questioned and he nodded, sitting up in the bed. He switched on the lamp on his side table, prompting me to sit up too. I know you'll be happier here, but there's too many factors to consider. Your place and duty to the Accardi family will be compromised, not to mention the risk to your safety. I've lived here all my life. I can keep myself safe and balance my responsibilities to your family. I refuted, but he shook his head. You lived here as the princess of the Greek Mafia. You haven't lived here as my wife. For once, he didn't mention the word wife with an undertone of disgust in his voice. My family isn't exactly a favorite among most crime groups. You saw how many guards I need with me everywhere I go. I don't know if I can risk your safety here, especially if I'm not with you. I was about to jump in, but he put his hand up to stop me. And you're expected to be in Sicily as a housewife or some shit, not living here to run your company. But you don't believe that, right? If he thinks I'll be a housewife, I swear I'll know, but my father does and he's still the Don. His father, the man who suggested this whole marriage alliance in the first place. So you're saying I have to ask him for permission? Because I will. I definitely will. Hell no, don't even think about it. He snapped, his expression hardening. Don't speak to him again, Millie. Like ever, what if he says hi? I knew he was referring to my boss bitch moment in his father's office a few nights ago, but it was still fun to push his buttons. We both know my father would never say hi to you. Bitch. I sighed, leaning back against the plush headboard. So you're saying I can't move back here? It was strange that he was so conflicted over it. The Costa I knew at the start of our marriage would have shut the idea down and gone to sleep. Actually, he never would have let me sleep in his room, never mind entertain a civil conversation with me. My husband released a curse word, leaning his head back against the headboard. He closed his eyes, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed, so hot. You can do 3 weeks a month here and 1 week in Sicily. But if I need you in Sicily or anywhere else, you drop everything with no arguments. I don't care if your damn office building is going up in flames, you get on the jet I send for you. Okay? Yes, okay. I immediately replied, a smile lighting up my face. MHM, can we go to sleep now? That was his great response. He leaned over to switch off the lamp, leaving me sitting there grinning like a child. My mind was already buzzing with ideas on how I will need to reset my life now that I'd be in New York for most of my time. I'd need to organize my company first and make sure I have a good hold on it. But I'll also get to see Damien and Julius too. Oh, and Zari, I haven't seen her since before my wedding. We met the same day I met Costantino earlier this year, and I'll need to Millie lie the fuck down. Oh, sorry. I quickly shuffled to lie down again next to Costa, who was glaring at me. So fucking annoying. He muttered, turning away to go to sleep. And LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT. NGT and GT and GT and GT and GT and GT and GT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT and LT. What's the fucking surprise, Julius? A Damien's irate voice had me smiling as the two idiots entered the room I was waiting in. It better be worth it. You know I have work to do. Your lazy ass doesn't do half the shit I. Maleficent. A squeak escaped my lips when Damien wrapped me in a tight hug, almost squeezing the life out of me. Damien. It was more like a desperate plea for air, but my cousin missed the urgency. Instead, he tightened his grip on me. Oh, Mildred, I missed you so fucking much. I missed you too. I was so breathless at this point I was worried Costa was going to kill me for dying so inconveniently. Finally, Damien released me, allowing me to inhale a life-saving breath. What the hell are you doing here? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I would have thrown you a fucking party. Shit, Mildew, you look so beautiful. He grinned, pulling me in for another life-threatening hug which cut off my laughter. Damien, don't kill her or you'll have the Acardis on your ass. Julius mocked, earning a glare from me while my face was smushed against my cousin's chest. Did you have to bring them up already? Yeah, Julius. Damien added to get a rise out of Julius. Did you have to bring them up already? After one more hug, we finally took our seats in the private room of the restaurant. We had to meet here for lunch because I was apparently banned from visiting the house. So, how's married life? Damien grinned, sounding more like a nosy aunt than a 30-year-old mobster. We'll get to that, but I want to talk about you guys first. What have I missed? How have you been? 3 months is a long time. My question had the two of them stalling before they shared one of their usual secret looks. The action had me frowning, sitting up a little straighter in my seat. What's the matter? Nothing, Maleficent. It's just, well, our story is probably boring compared to yours. There's nothing much to say. Julius spoke for the two of them, using his poker face to hide how he truly felt. Since my brother was much harder to crack, as the future heir to the Greek Mafia should be, I turned my attention to Damien instead. My cousin was unbreakable to anyone who wasn't me. I knew exactly what look to give him that would have him spilling the tea immediately, and it worked again. It's all gone to shit, everything, nothing is the same without you. A Damien spoke, causing Julius to mutter a curse under his breath. Why, what happened? Damien, stop, she doesn't need to hear this. Julius tried again to stop him. She's still part of this family, she deserves to know. A Damien's sudden glare towards Julius was the first sign of the cracks beginning to show. To ichum iti zeparaz afto, na stamatis. We've been over this already, stop. The two of them were glaring at each other while I sat across from them. I looked between the two of them, anxiety building up inside me at the sight. They were the bestest of friends, they always had been. Their friendship with each other would always come before their relationship with me or anyone else. They were each other's ride or die, but now they seemed like enemies and the sight broke my heart. Guys. My whisper had them breaking their stare down. Don't fight, not because of me. Your brother is a dick. Damien scoffed, picking up his menu, dismissing Julius altogether. Meanwhile, my brother looked furious. Julius, I akoma adurfi su, aplamila mu. Julius, I'm still your sister, just talk to me. His anger was still prevalent, at least for another moment before his gaze softened towards me. I don't know what to say. Dad isn't the same, Mama isn't the same, we're not the same. He barely glanced at Damien, who refused to even acknowledge him. Why? What happened between you two? Julius refused to answer me, and so did Damien. Mildred, you want to share two main dishes with me. Damien cut in, his eyes snapping from his menu towards me. Shut up and answer me. I replied, finally having had enough of their evasion tactics. Or I swear I'll just go back to work. I took time out of my day to come and see you. Damien lowered his menu, tentatively looking over my brother, whose anger had barely reduced. I waited patiently for them to finish their silent conversation before gracing me with their answers. After you left, Damien went off the rails. It wasn't just me. Damien jumped in, we both did. Whatever, the point is our relationship broke down. It turns out you had a bigger place in our lives than we may have thought. That's not true. You guys were always so close. Even when I was around, you'd make me feel like a third wheel. I smiled, aching for those times again when I'd pester them to let me in their friendship. And it was worse as we grew up, especially with the 5-year age gap between my brother and I, things change. Damien muttered, twisting the silver ring on his finger. Well, snap the hell out of it. You're using me as an excuse because you don't want to face your own feelings. Millie, it's true. Yes, I left and that was hard on all of us. But you can't let that ruin everything you two had. You're supposed to be his fucking underboss when he takes over. My reminder that their lives were forever linked caused them both to tense up. You can't spiral and you can't fall out. You're stronger than this, please. I pleaded with them, but they refused to break. They just continued to stare at the table ahead of them. Shall I just leave then? Because I haven't waited 3 months for our first meeting to be like this. I'll happily go another 3 months without seeing either of you until you sort this out. Their continued silence had me releasing a sigh of frustration. Pushing my chair back, I made a move to stand up when Damien spoke. Don't. Don't go, we'll talk, okay? Later. Later? I rose an eyebrow at him, looking between the two. I don't trust you both to talk later. Whatever you have to say to each other, I want to hear it. Yes, I was inserting myself into their fight, but the two idiots were just as stubborn as me. In the past, one of us would always have to be the peacemaker if we ever wanted to resolve any arguments. I broke up with Irina. Julius suddenly announced. What? Why? Julius and Irina were so good together. Julius eyed Damien, who was avoiding his gaze. It didn't take long for me to put it together. Damien, tell me you didn't. He opened his mouth to speak, but my words slipped out before I could stop them. What the hell is wrong with you? I glared at him, my anger suddenly spiking. You slept with his girlfriend? What? Fuck no, no. I frowned, suddenly dumbstruck. Damien never denies sleeping with people. She hit on me, but nothing happened. Damien growled, turning to glare at Julius. I've been telling you all this time. Like I believe a fucking word you say. We all know you sleep with anyone regardless of their relationship status. Maybe, but I'd never do that to you. The fact you think I would ever do that, or even you, Damien scoffed, his piercing eyes now fixed on me. Fuck you, Millie. I flinched at the audible venom in his voice as he pushed his chair back. Damie, my sentence cut off when he stormed out of the private room, slamming the door behind himself. You should have listened and left it alone. Julius muttered, leaning back in his chair. I was too busy running after Damien to deal with him and his pathetic comment. It's his fault all of this happened in the first place. He should have trusted Damien. But instead, he insinuated Damien slept with his ex and I was stupid enough to believe him. Damien, wait. I finally caught up with him in the parking lot behind the restaurant. My security team were still there. Some had been stationed inside the restaurant and had since followed me out. The rest were guarding the perimeter. Damien stopped in the middle of the parking lot when he heard my voice, but he didn't turn around to look at me. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have believed it straight away. You just what? He spun around, spitting the words out. This level of anger was something I'd never been on the receiving end of from him. Julius would shout at me, but never Damien. I don't know, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. A mistake? You thought I'd screw my cousin's girlfriend. The mistake is an understatement. I I had nothing to say because he was right. I shouldn't have believed it, but I just did. I let his reputation for sleeping with just about anyone cloud my judgment. While Damien may indulge in a lot of forbidden sex, he would never hurt his family. That should have been my primary thought, but it wasn't. I'm sorry. The volume of my voice drastically decreased as the situation got away from me. Please just come back inside. We can fuck no, he laughed, stepping away from me. You and your brother can screw yourselves, Millie. Damien, stop. I took a desperate step towards him, hating the way he was glaring at me. I know I messed up, but I haven't seen you in 3 months. I missed you. Yeah, he nodded with another scornful laugh. That's what makes this shit so much worse. After all this time away, you've forgotten who I am. I haven't. I promise I haven't. Go back to your brother, Millie. He shook his head, heading over to his own security convoy, or just go back to your fucking husband instead. This ending makes me sad now. I'm kind of tempted to post another chapter. Shall I? Okay, fine, I will.